expected to seek out the best. 2 words to describe the activity. The Yoruba Unity Forum is conducted.
Be the first to know. From the north, south, east, west, and around Africa. We break the news. Now you can catch all the actions live as the news breaks. We are Core TV News.
Welcome to Core TV Primetime
News, a 24-hour news station.
Thanks for staying with us on Core Digest Friday. I'm joined now by MD, Editor-in-Chief of Financial Standard and a Public Affairs Analyst Bola Onanuga, joining us today on Core Digest. Good morning, sir.
Good morning.
Happy New Year to you.
Same to you.
Thank you very much for joining us. Quite a number of issues and controversies ahead of the 2015 elections. Let's start with the former President Olusegun Obasanjo, who recently alleged that the Jonathan administration squandered about $30 billion from the nation's savings. Of course, in response to that, the Finance Ministry and indeed the federal government are saying that the management of the external reserves was one of the statutory mandates of the Central Bank of Nigeria since the CBN Act of 2007 was passed into law. We're also able to speak with an Abuja-based development economist, Odilim Enwegara, who says it's not possible for any president to mismanage Nigeria's foreign reserves under the CBN Act. Let's just hear him out, and I'll be back with you.
There's no way Jonathan should have done that without asking the central bank to give him that money. The central bank will not give him that money without providing the naira equivalent, because it's the dollar they use in defending the naira. So, and bear in mind that also it was not Jonathan that appointed Sanusi, who until recently was the central bank governor. So I think that Obasanjo was confusing matters, because if he said that the Jonathan appointed MFL, or Yar'Adua appointed Sanusi, and these governors mismanaged our foreign reserves, it makes sense to me. Where Obasanjo could have made sense would have been to say that when oil price was falling, we would have devalued naira quickly so that to discourage the capital flight, people needing dollar in exchange of naira and taken out of the country. But that policy is not in the hand of the president. You see, I'm not a member of PDP. I am speaking as an economist who understands this issue very, very well. And I want Nigerians to understand that a sitting president, unless in a dictatorship or before 2007, can assess the foreign exchange of this country. It is owned by the central bank.
You said before 2007. What do you
before 2007, because there was a 2007 Act, CBN 2007 Act, that give complete autonomy and independence to central bank.
You heard him out. What are your informed thoughts along this line?
Well, as an economy reporter of about 25 years experience, I would tell you that there is only one argument. If you say the federal government mismanaged the reserve or the economic policy, one will understand. But you cannot claim that a president will steal money, not even from CBN. You are not talking about the foreign reserve. Can the president take money from a bank, just a mere bank? The MD of a bank cannot steal alone.
Okay.
You need the cooperation of about 7 other people. And that's why all the people that were caught by Sanusi stealing, they had accomplices. There is not a single MD of a bank that will just go to the vault and steal depositors' money. The same thing applies to Mr. President. 1, the Act protects it. 3, the oversight function of the National Assembly is always there to monitor. 3, if Obasanjo claims, with due respect, if the former president claims that the president mismanaged or stole 30 billion out of the foreign reserve, it then means that while he was there, he was tampering with the foreign reserve as he likes. Because that is the logical thing that should have come out of the communication managers of Asurok. It's not just about sitting down as the chief press secretary or information minister. It's about ability to think fast and to think you anticipate. Yes, the economy has become weakened because what Jonathan inherited was a monolithic economy. So everything is tied to the hands and the neck of the oil. So and we don't control the oil price. We are just the 5th largest producer. We do not control the 4 aces in the selling point. So one, you need to look for buyers, and it is dictated by the forces of supply and demand. One of the largest reserve is Russia. They are finding it difficult now to cope. So it's not about mismanaging the economy. It's that our economic manager had failed to anticipate what ought to be done ahead of time. Just like the other analyst said, that if they had anticipated properly, they would have devalued the currency faster than they did. But the economic manager was lying. That because the economy has become very large, the largest in Africa for now, which is to the credit of this administration. If it is the largest, then it means you have more crises to manage. Because if you are managing a small pocket, it's different from when you are managing a bowl. So you are now managing a bowl, and you knew that since May, the United States had attempted to pull out their reserves. And that's what they released into the market. And they are the largest buyer of our oil. Instead of you to work out what you should have done, they went to focus on China.
On whose shoulders lie all of this responsibility?
The responsibility lies with one, the coordinating minister for the economy, who is supposed to have her team, which includes the CBN governor, which includes the budget office, the national planning, office of statistics, who else? Some bankers. So we see all these people that they too have anticipating gears to know that, because when a car is going on the road, you have to be looking at the car in front of you. In the event that his tire removes suddenly, or he has a collision with the front car of his, then he has a problem. You have a problem. So you must anticipate crisis. It's not just coming to parade yourself as one economist. That's not what we want to eat.
It's also amazing to see that the federal government says there was never a time that Nigeria's foreign reserves rose to $67 billion, contrary to claims made by the former president, Olusegun Obasanjo.
The former president is only creating more crisis. I have never seen where the former president of ordinary Ghana here will come out openly to be criticizing the government on the pages of newspaper. What gain do you want to achieve? Because I cannot see the motive, except somebody just want to be complicating the activities ahead of the general election. You won't find President of the United States. It's not everything they tell Obama that he will do. It's not everything you tell Cameroon that he will do. They also have their own policy, they have their own plans. They also have their own individual ingenuity, just like any other president. President don't steal from the reserve. It is not possible. Not just the CBN Act. It was, certain things have been abused by the military in this country. Perhaps maybe that is what Obasanjo is referring to, that since they were doing it as military head of state, then it is still the practice.
You're saying there's a possibility that he was doing it while he was military head of state?
If you assume that the current president is still in there, it means you know the tricks through which the thievings have been done. So he should come and give more explanation or back it up with specifics. You don't make unguided statement. You are an elder statesman. There are certain things that should not be done. Our foreign reserve has never risen to 67 billion. I stand corrected. It rose to $60 billion. But it never rose to 67. So that's also an overstressed.
It's all right. Let's quickly move away from that. There are many other issues we want to touch on. Mr. President was in Lagos yesterday, kickstarting his presidential campaign. And it's also amazing to find out the kind of crowd that greeted that particular campaign at the Teslim Balogun Square.
No, not Teslim Balogun.
At the Tafawa Balewa Square in Lagos. Many have asked the question, where do all these parties get their crowds from? The next time you see APC in Lagos, you'll also see another amazing, unprecedented crowd in Port Harcourt. It was the same thing.
Well, first and foremost, we are moving towards the election year, election time. Most of the people you will find, except those in the front row, they are rented crowds. Both for all the parties. They are rented crowds. There are compulsions that every ministry must supply human heads for them to occupy the seats. It's not peculiar to one party. It is for all of them. For instance, I know of a party that will mandate every local government chairman to bring 100. So if in Kano you have 40-something local government, you already have 4,000 plus, then you are now talking about the stalwarts of the party. The party itself will mobilize in the state. So at the end of the day, you will find all this crowd. And another issue there is poverty.
Okay.
Poverty is a major indices of crowd pulling. Since they are going to give you, some of them, in the past, I don't know whether it is happening, but it will still be happening. Some of them will be paid 5,000 naira just to be part of it. They will give you free clothes, maybe 4 yards, for you to belong. You have a seat, then you will eat there and drink. So people can, because of 5,000, go and die. That is what we have come to see. In some places, they don't even pay more than 1,000 because they're going to ferry you there and ferry you back. So, and you see, we also have a lot of people who are having ambition. That maybe my brother is in one thing or the other. You are managing a relationship. They say put in your effort because immediately I enter. Because you cannot meet any politician who will tell you that I will not succeed in my campaign. So that's the situation. But the other things that the parties should be cautioned by INEC is the commotion. Let's look at the scenario yesterday. The whole of Lagos came to a standstill because Mr. President was around. That is not fair because you realize that all of them will go to 37 states. By the time you are going to 37 states, multiply by 54 parties. Let us even assume that the active one will be just about 3 or 4. Look, multiply 37 by 10 parties times the number of times they will visit all the states and see the economic losses that will greet such campaigns. So these campaigns are supposed to be guided by INEC. It's not just about stipulating that a party must not spend more than 1 billion naira. That's not the issue now. The issue is we are losing. Lagos says this like you can no more do anything. You can't do anything. Everyone that is going to Lagos is locked up. Once you are inside, you are locked in. You can't run an economy like that. So they have to, and this is the economic nerve center. So imagine the number of parties that will gather at stadium. Some of them will be in our stadium. Some of them will be in what do you call it, Tafa Balewa Square. Some of them will be in Secretariat. Some of them will be somewhere else. So that is how they will cause commotion by putting in police security agencies. That is also because of the insecurity in the country today. So that's my view on that.
It's all right. The issue of the movement of emancipation for the Niger Delta supporting Buhari as their presidential candidate for 2015 is also one of those issues that Mr. President put forth yesterday during his opening campaign in Lagos. The PDP, as a matter of fact, is asking if they should expect similar support from insurgent groups in the north. What are your thoughts along that line?
Well, I think at that area, there somebody erred. Erred because you cannot say that the Boko Harams are supporting you. So I can, an elder statesman of that caliber, come and mention men. Then it means what you are promoting is violence.
He didn't mention men. Men mentioned him.
You are supposed to reject it immediately. Not because the election is not about do or die. I appreciate your effort, but I want to dissociate myself from your activity.
But is MEND a terrorist group in Nigeria?
Because they are led by
the PDP has started using the word terrorism in relation with MEND.
MEND is a terrorist organization. It's a militant group. They are not policemen. They are not military men. They are just faceless as well. They just put something on their face and start shooting.
One of the militant groups that have been pardoned by the same PDP-led administration?
Yes, it has been pardoned, but you see, you cannot clean a toilet that it will not smell. They've cleaned up almost 70%. The only person that is causing the crisis is Oka, that is in jail in South Africa. And so Oka is the one that will be writing letters. I'm sure there are not more than 5 or 6 that is doing all those chaos. It is possible that they want to use it to aggravate the tension in the land. Because Oka was caught when he came to bomb Abuja sometime 3 years ago or so. So such a person will never like the government that sent him to jail. So I can't see any value. There's no political value in whatever they have said. Because it discourages people as well. Even if they have said it, APC is supposed to come out to defend themselves. That this letter was written to them, but they have nothing to say about it. It's not for you to use it as a campaign point, but it's part of the issues. So we are graduating. Instead of the previous method of campaigning that you'll be abusing each other, people are now looking at the issue. And that means our politics and democracy is gradually coming to maturity.
It's all right. Let me quickly take this call while we also bring in the viewership into this discussion this morning.
Hello, good morning.
Good morning. Welcome to Call Digest.
Yeah, please, can I be on to the air to contribute to the program that is going on?
You're on air. What's your name? Where are you calling from?
I'm calling from George.
George calling from Jos.
Yes.
All right, go ahead with the contribution now.
Okay, I just want to... Yeah.
Turn down the volume of your TV set, so we can hear you clearly.
Okay, I just want to contribute to what the man said now.
Okay.
About the issue of the external reserve. The former president, although the way he's talking is very wrong, he left the 67 billion. He said a food account. He left some money there, and the one in the CBA, that's what is joined together. That is 67 billion. And even the other woman said the same thing the other time. But what I'm trying to say is that the same woman who makes Nigeria to suffer and pay heavily to repair our money back to the people we are owed, the Paris for. The money we could have used to repair Lagos-Ibadan Expressway, Kano down to Abuja, is the money we use to pay this money to repay back. And again, the same woman come now. Can the woman tell us what Nigeria is doing now? The other time we borrow 1 billion. We say we are going to borrow 1 billion to buy arms. That is, in fact, President Jonathan, the way he talks, the people that are managing him should. Most of us love him. But the way he was talking yesterday, we are not happy. He said that some people are putting a crate to bring that out. What are you telling us? Telling us that the corruption is okay. It's not corrupt. Nobody will pick you. But if they are corrupt, you should be picked. And that's what the generation are saying now. The corruption is the land now. I see people now, people are so disgusted yesterday.
I'm afraid we lost.
People are not corrupt.
Okay.
Let him do the right thing. And on the issue the man mentioned about men or no men, nobody care about men. The men, when they set out, is totally different from Boko Haram. Many Nigerians have sympathy for the Niger Delta. Like most of us serve in the Niger Delta, we see a lot of things that was going on here. And when the men came out and they were talking, and the late President Yar'Adua was able to bring them around, the same President Obasanjo was the one that said Yar'Adua brought hooligan to the presidential villa. But most of us supported what Vice President Jonathan did. And we are happy for these people. If I is in my land, as I'm talking to you, they are bringing oil as my father cannot farm, I cannot oil is all over, we cannot fish. What do you think I will do? I will do the same thing like them. But what we are trying to say is that anybody can come and support anybody. We shouldn't say that nobody, every Nigeria, this is the time of reconciliation. This is time that there is no south, there is no north. People of us now have known that we are not going to vote along religion line. Those of us who voted along religion line 11 are regretting it. Whosoever the God will rule this nation. And that's that's why we are saying that let the will of God be done in Nigeria.
It's all right.
And finally, my brother,
okay.
So just cap it off, is that the economy is not sound. That's in the reality. How much is the naira now? If you go to the black market to buy naira, how much is it? The man that is talking to you now, I know that he's an economist or he has an idea about a business economy. He should say the thing. Things are so bad. Things are so bad. The thing that is on the ground is not what we are seeing. The thing the government is telling us is not what we are seeing. And finally, President Obasanjo should just leave the Nigeria alone and let's sort our problem. His time is sober. An elderly man. We don't insult elderly man. Yoruba man, we don't insult elderly man. He's a father. He's a father to Jonathan. He's a father to Buhari. He's a father to the nation. Let him be father. And don't let him bring more problem for this nation. The Nigeria has seen enough. God will do this nation in Jesus' name.
Amen. And Judge, thank you for your contribution. Good to get your call from Just. But have we been able to really define what issue-based campaign is all about? Because when Mr. President inaugurated his campaign team, it was clear-cut in his prescription of issue-based campaign. Yesterday in Lagos, we had issues about Buhari's wife. One of the women there was saying, we've never seen Buhari campaign with his wife. Some are talking about his certification. Some are talking about his age. Even Mr. President himself raised issues that Buhari was raising issues without preferring solutions on ongoing campaigns. Are all of these still within the confines of issue-based campaigns?
Yeah, well, no government can ever finish issues in any nation. No government can define solution to every problems. Obama cannot do it. Just yesterday in France, there was a terrorist attack. And you won't find a former president or members of the opposition accusing the security, reducing them as if they are lower. You can't go to America now. What you are going to see about their defense policy openly is limited to what they call public knowledge.
Okay.
Whoever comes will also move it up. And that is what people have been doing from time to time. So we need to be very sure of the issues. Like I said, several issues were raised yesterday by both parties. Some is just as if you are blackmailing the other person. But there were more issues raised than name calling of the past. That they're asking for somebody's certificate is an issue. But the person has the right to also defend himself.
How come it became an issue after he has contested incredibly in an election 3 times in the country?
The mere fact that there have been some issues. In 1999, I remember clearly that the first speaker of the House was impeached because of certificate forgery. But it went through INEC during the period. So it does not mean that if somebody did it this year and succeed, that you still cannot find error. For instance, Namadi Sambo came out a few days ago to say, presenting his form of whatever to INEC, that this thing got burnt in an inferno. You see, he knew that they could use it against him. So he quickly came up and got several reports from the school he went. And he explained the school he went. That is what I expected. The certificate that we are requesting for, the constitution says school cert. What's the big deal about school cert?
Let's take this call. Hello, good morning.
Good morning. How are you?
Terrific. What's your name? Where are you calling from?
I'm Adam from Mina.
Adam's from Mina. How's Mina this morning?
No, it's fine.
All right, go ahead with the contribution, please. Can you speak louder? Adams, are you there?
Yes, I'm there. Mina, it's fine.
Okay, I need to speak louder. I can hardly hear you.
Okay, I said I'm fine. How are you?
Terrific. Go ahead with the contribution, please.
You see, it's unfortunate that most of the time when you come with this issue, you bring people that talk, paid by the government to talk. That man sitting there, I think all of us are... You talk about it and you make comparison to America or whatnot. This is a developed democracy where there's full accountability. What Obasanjo is saying, as a former head of state, he knows exactly what he's saying, and he's a patriot.
Are you still there?
Yes, I'm still there.
Okay, go ahead, please.
I'm still there. As a patriot who has the nation at heart, who sacrificed his life for this country, he knows where the direction is heading to, and he's not keeping mute like IPP and the rest. Because in certain situations, it's just like what Judge Bush said, you're either for us or against us. Every onlooker is either a coward or a traitor. Obasanjo is right, and you should stop saying all these nonsense about the person. He knows exactly the African situation and the power that the president can relegate to himself and give order and make things happen. And that man there is trying to make things look as if as if you are addressing over 160 million Nigerians who are morons. You've been paid, and you are one of the thieves. That's it. Call spade a spade.
No, I won't allow you to, Adams. I won't allow you to call my guest a thief. That's quite incisive, and there's no way you can prove that. So thank you for calling. Please, when you call back, let's be very objective in our submissions. How can you call him a thief for crying out loud? You don't catch him steal anything. But he brought an allegation against you that you have been paid to appear on air. I believe you want to quickly react to that.
You people will clarify that to him. By virtue of my calling, I'm a journalist, I'm supposed to talk.
And we have been the one placing calls on you to come
so
on
that
air.
is even one of the issues. So when I write in my newspaper, if that means that somebody has paid me, is it an advertisement? The issue is that we need to be more informed. Many of us are not informed. And those of us who are informed, we are very bitter. Nobody would like this nation to be like that. But a former president cannot turn himself to a mouthpiece of critics. No. You can write to Mr. President. All these people, they sit at the Council of State meeting. What do they discuss there? Do they just go there to drink tea? At the Council of State, people can confront each other. Nobody has answer to our problem. I keep remaining that. Because all these people sit down at the Council of State meeting and discussing insurgency. What effort have they put, or what idea have they given this thing? Some of them should just come out and tell us that they asked this man to do this. Why didn't they do it? It's not, the man was defending himself yesterday. Luckily, that insurgency, that is not the first time, but it's more chaotic now. It's more pathetic because it's drowning the economy. It's drowning the economy because a terrorist is a terrorist, whether you are a militant, as long as you are operating violently. Even if behind your house, your father owns a farm, and somebody is trying to take it forcefully, and you are not benefit from it, there are procedures for fighting your battle. We have judiciary, we have the police.
That's right.
You cannot just take up arms and go and be killing people. And you are saying that they are not terrorist organizations. They are terrorist organizations, and they are just like Boko Haram as well. Even though their operation is limited as well, they both have limited operating fields. I mean, somebody is in the northeast, the other person is in the south. I mean, they were destroying the economy of South at that time, just like the northeast economy is being destroyed now. So the former president, I will remain blunt, that he has no right to be speaking to Nigeria about the economy, because the economy was not as large as this when he was there.
Okay.
Then he was able to make savings. You give him his credit. He was able to make several savings for this country, especially by paying the debt he made. It was a commendable effort. He brought in the GSM revolution, and that has also revolutionized business. But not that people don't know his shortcoming. The power sector didn't grow. Yet we spent $16 billion through several committees that were being created. I mean, people who live in glass house should not throw stone. We, the pressman, were criticizing him as well there, but he would never reply. No comment is no comment. You see, there are military style of doing things, and there's a democratic way of doing things. Buhari will not do what he did in 1984 today in Nigeria, because it's no more the same environment. People are more enlightened now. People have benefited from freedom of speech. People have benefited from their elected representatives. So it is not that everything is bad. It is because the managers of communication of the current president, they are weak.
It's all right. The phone lines are on the screen, but an alternative way of reaching us will also be following us on Twitter. You can tweet at us at Core Digest Live, and in case we cannot pick your calls because there are so many of them, I'm not sure we can do justice to all. You can also follow us on Twitter at Core Digest Live. But let's take this call. Hello, good morning. Welcome to Core Digest. Are you there?
Hello.
Good morning.
Good morning.
What's your name? Where are you calling from?
My name is Mustafa.
Mustafa from where?
Lagos.
From Lagos. Mustafa, speak louder. Go ahead with your contribution.
In respect of the young man there, remember that Obasanjo knows everything about this. Obasanjo has the sons of the level. Obasanjo has gone around that point. If we know what is happening after all, and then it is not. So if Obasanjo is saying something, why these people that Obasanjo mention some of the things that is wrong, which he needed the authority to do about. Not that someone will continue to go and activate Obasanjo. The issue of Boko Haram, of the chain, Jonathan would have solved the problem before the problem emanates to what it is now. If you appointed people to do the work, and they could not do it well, what do you need to do about them? You remove them and put other people who can do your job. What is it? The Minister of Finance, we have been talking about the e-payment. Up to now, the e-payment has not commenced. So what are we talking about? The level of corruption in the country and the level of poverty in the country. There is money in this country that we can use to transform every sector of this country. The industry should also have be our major focus. Our major focus. Education should have be our major focus. Health sector should have be our major focus. Power should have be our major focus. All those are achievements for the country to thrive in a destination that is in our country. Thank you very much, my brother.
Good to hear from you, Mustafa. Thank you for calling in from Lagos. Is it also possible that the present administration is being on the defensive, given, of course, being lashed out by former President Obasanjo? You also recall IBB saying, with all of things he's hearing, he probably is going to be a saint or an angel as a leader in Nigeria. And Mr. President yesterday talked about corruption. That corruption didn't start in his own administration. It kick-started with people like Buhari when they were in power. Wouldn't that be being defensive? Is it a question of when it started or what you're doing about it right now?
Well, there is no history without a trend. Everything has a trend. For this particular issue of corruption, it is an endemic situation in this country. Successive administration has done it. This is democracy. Whether somebody is being defensive or is overreacting, they have to defend the administration. Even though in the area of corruption, I have not seen what has been done to stop it. Even though the president said it yesterday that they have created structure to stop corruption, we have not seen anybody that has been found guilty. Those who stole pension money, they were asked to come and pay maybe peanuts. A man was caught with over 3 billion. The man was released by the court. The Ministry of Justice did not find it right to challenge that judgment of a federal court. They could still have appealed. But they left the man scot-free. That's not corruption fighting.
How would you rate this administration in the area of fighting corruption?
I have said I have not seen anything done in corruption. I have not seen it. I can tell you that point blank. Let them show us a list of those who went to jail because they were corrupt.
Mr. President came out recently to say he has a new plan for fighting corruption.
That's now a new plan. Maybe because he's having very stiff opposition from within and outside his party. He has now been able to listen to some of the advices they are giving him over this issue of corruption and several other policies. I won't know. But he ought not to have waited till this injury time before he brought out a new plan. the area of corruption, he will be scored very low. In fighting corruption, he will be scored very low. However, I knew that there were corruptions in successive governments that has ever been in this country. But this period, I wouldn't know how much had been stolen or how much was stolen in successive administration, but I know how many people got away with a large chunk of our revenue and they were going unchallenged.
I also know the number of plea bargains and presidential pardon we've had in recent times. Hello, good morning.
Good morning.
Welcome to Call Digest. You're on to Call Digest. What's your name? Where are you calling from?
Is it?
What's your name, brother? Where are you calling from?
This is Kings calling from Delta State.
What's your name again?
Kings, K-I-N-G-S.
Okay, Kings, K-I-N-G-S, calling from Delta. Go ahead with your contribution, Kings.
Yes, I want to ask that man that is sitting there, has he ever visited Aso Rock? Has he ever been in the meeting, in the neck with the federal government when they are holding their meeting? The issue here is that Jonathan, when he came on board, told us that he knows the person that is sponsoring Boko Haram.
President Jonathan Kings.
Yes, our president. What did he do? I will allow that man to answer the question. You see, the issue here is you keep blaming the past governors that have led this country, that they just started the corruption. Okay? He forgets that a man that shifts blame for his inadequacies is a man that approaches failure. There is no way that he is getting this country that is going to be rosy. Being a president is like going into marriage. You don't expect being inside the marriage that is going to be all rosy. Every stage in life, every level in life has their challenges. He is the president of this country, and the challenges that he's facing now is equal to the office he's holding. If he is not, he doesn't have that willpower to confront it. He should not be apportioning blames here and there. That is one. Secondly, I want to ask that gentleman there, like I asked the first time, if not for Obasanjo speaking, who can speak? Can he speak? What does he really know? What amount of knowledge does he really know of the operations going on in Aso Rock? What amount of knowledge does he know? Does he know up to 1/10 of what Obasanjo did? I've heard him counting one or two things that Obasanjo did in his tenure, talking about JSL. He can even count it. But if I ask him to count what Jonathan did, he will tell me railway. I will ask him, have he entered the railway from Lagos to, what's it called now? Is there Enugu to Abuja or Lagos to Abuja or Kaduna to Abuja? Has he entered? He will tell me agric. Fine, agriculture. Who is the people that are doing doing agriculture in Nigeria? Is it not the Northerners? I want us to stop being sentimental when we look at issues in this our country. I'm a common man. I'm a Nigerian. Nigeria is my country. I think if we start facing the issues squarely, that's when we'll start getting results. That is my...
It's all right. Thank you very much for your contribution. Kings, I believe, called in from Delta. He asked you a lot of questions. I don't know where you start from. Maybe you should answer whether you've been to the Aso Rock before.
Yes, I was in Aso Rock during Obasanjo's administration.
Okay.
But I've not been in that chance because as of the time Obasanjo was in power, when they were about to do the privatization of Daily Times, I was a big player.
Okay.
But today I'm an MD, an editor-in-chief of a financial newspapers. So I know what it means. I know how painful it is, actually, when people start hearing about sensitive things like insurgency, corruption, and how bitter people are because people's businesses have been damaged. The economy is not moving. But I did not come here to be a PR manager to OBJ. So the issue of, do I know what OBJ did? And that, do I have knowledge about this or that? I do have. I did knowledge, but I'm not an island. So that is that. In the area of insurgency, this is not the first time insurgency broke out in this country. We had my Tanzania uprising in 1983 under Buhari administration. It could not be quelled, so it was transferred to Buhari's government. But because they were hounding themselves all about in the military, Babangida also took over. And that was the end that Babangida now uses. Buhari tried during the period, but it was ended by the Babangida's administration.
Okay.
So that it happens now, and that nothing has been done, and unfortunately, the man made mention of one particular word, which I think he was right about. The president cannot be transferring blames. You cannot be justified the present with the past. You are supposed to grow on the past. Because you can't say because there was insurgency in 1984, therefore, this insurgency also should be left carelessly. No.
And for crying out loud, your party has been in charge for 16 years. Many expect the continuity.
So there must have been several committees, several meetings, but unfortunately, here we think more biasly. For instance, if you are my deputy, and you didn't give me your idea to flow with, you left me alone and you are saying yes, 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 yes. And when you now come to government as the succeeding president, you now start bringing fresh ideas. Where does that lead us? Insurgency is supposed to be something of a collective effort.
Just a minute, let's take this call. Hello, good morning.
Hello, this is Tochukwu calling from Anambra.
Tochukwu, good morning.
Good morning.
How are you today?
Quickly, my thought on this topic today is, let me first of all tackle the issue of Obasanjo. With due respect, I think the native language of Obasanjo is not synonymous to lies. If you give me time, I could go on and count 1,001 lies Obasanjo has said us in 2014. But time will not permit us to do so. But let me quickly tell Nigerians, in case some persons are not being observant, the problem with Obasanjo is that he has totally lost the structure in the ruling class power. Take all his aides that was appointed into Goodluck Jonathan's administration, all of them have been relieved of their duty. Nigerians don't understand what is going on in the political class. The situation whereby a leader has been disgruntled, has lost power in the power puzzle, it totally becomes an opposition and suddenly becomes a friend, speaking the truth. That is what is happening. He has lost power. That is the problem. If Obasanjo still controls a large portion of structure in the PDP and in the ruling class, he wouldn't be talking. So that is my thought about Obasanjo. As for the issue of corruption, please, Nigerians should please stop doing corruption out of proportion. Some people say stealing is corruption. I want to stand by President Goodluck Jonathan. Stealing is not proportion. If you argue that stealing is corruption, which means non-Nigerians today can come up with decency and say, I'm not corrupt, because one more of them that you must have stolen. Let me remind you that stealing fish in your mother's pot is also stealing. In your secondary school days, that explanation is stealing. So if stealing is corruption, which means we all are corrupt, which is we don't have a Nigeria that is not corrupt. So please, corruption is being blown out of proportion. It is being blown out of proportion.
Tochukwu.
And what people perceive to be fighting corruption in the past is because these leaders use the government agencies to fight their enemies in the name of corruption. And that is what Goodluck Jonathan has refused to do. He has refused to fight his enemies. So fighting your enemy does not mean you are fighting corruption. And in conclusion, what corruption could be greater? I want Nigeria to please answer this question. What corruption could be greater than the quota system that was used in this country years back? In this situation, somebody from the north, we need just 9 to gain an intelligence in the common interest, and somebody from Ebony. We need about 100 and something. And that is why I laugh sometimes when they argue that Buhari somehow for him to have risen to the rank he rose in the military without certificate. My brother, it is possible. We knew how these people were let us face the fact in this country. Nigeria has come of age, whereby the youth of this country need to decide which way they want to go. So this is my thought this morning. Thank you, my brother.
Tochukwu, just before you go, are you saying that you only steal, you are not corrupt? I think we lost him there. Well, but would you say that Nigerians at this point in time, as we count down to the 2015 elections, have we come of age to be able to analyze all of these issues and controversies and make the right choices based on them?
Well, we have, but poverty will not allow people to listen to issues. The issues we're discussing here may look elitist. You can imagine thousands and millions of people will be in the marketplace today looking for their daily bread. This day will not be recorded for them. So it becomes a problem for them to even understand. That is one. In the area of corruption, we have 774 local governments that are extremely very corrupt. Is it Jonathan that will come and identify them? There is no state in this country that is not corrupt. Jonathan will not turn himself to a spirit to go and be chasing them. But again, the other guy told us something. The other guy told us something the other time. He has no willpower because he has also admitted a few days ago that he gets confused advices. And it has not helped either. So, but for a leader, you cannot be confused. You will know those who are supporting genuinely and those who are not supporting genuinely. I mean, we must have what we call, the law did not say that every criminal must be apprehended, no. But the few that you are able to pull down, you make them a scapegoat so that it will be a deterrence to others. I remember one particular year, the son of a monarch was caught in armed robbery. Somewhere in Southwest. The boy was taken to the front of his father's house to be shot. Even though I'm not in support of
jungle justice.
No. He was taken by the authority.
Oh, I see.
To be shot in front of his father's house by firing squad. Though that is too harsh. But the mere fact that it was done at the front of his father's house will be a deterrent to several people that, how do I want to be seen in front of my family house? And they now tell the family to carry their corpse. So we have to identify these issues. For instance, this issue of corruption should have been tabled before the Council of State. But you see, the big wigs, we always protect them. Those who committed subsidy fraud, how many of them are in jail? Because that is corruption. A man who stole people's money that doesn't belong to you is also in that line of corruption.
So Juku already said stealing is not corruption.
And no, you see, the way we view things must differ from each other. If I get to government today, I will have a different idea from what he's saying. Perhaps he is able to define what stealing is. Maybe he's stealing his own money. Yeah. But corruption is in the same line. But President Jonathan said he cannot hound everybody into prison simply because they are stealing or corrupt, but that he has put in place structures. These structures will look into it.
Okay.
Later on, maybe we'll also make it available to the general public. And also, but if you want to fight corruption, it begins from the head actually, not from underneath. Because you cannot go and punish somebody in Anambra State for being corrupt.
Okay. Let's quickly take this call. Hello, good morning.
Hello?
Good morning.
Hello, good morning.
Yeah, welcome to Call Digest.
I'm Abubakar calling from Kaduna.
Abubakar calling from Kaduna. Go ahead with the contribution. Okay. Go ahead with the contribution, Abubakar.
Yeah, good morning.
Good morning.
I heard your guest, and you have now admitted that Jonathan is a failure because of the confused president who cannot reach the appetite of his ex. And now let me ask you a question. I'm asking that gentleman. Are you getting me?
Yes, go ahead, please.
A president, a sitting president with constitutional power, with the military, the police, the SS, who claim 15 or 20 local government under Boko Haram. How can that president, Nigeria, will give him another chance? He will rule this country for 6 years with insecurity, poverty, unemployment, destruction of everywhere. Now, just 3 years, the military base have been taken over. So as a sitting president with constitutional power, why can't you send this military, give them the necessary equipment to crush this Boko Haram? Any progress, any development that we have in this country without peace is useless. And let me say to that, people say that many people in millennials, believe me, I prefer to be a common man with my family to live in Nigeria than to be a billionaire when my children, my people, when I'm in mosque or I'm in church, I'm not safe. Even there you are not safe. Because if you allow this thing to continue, you there sitting down, believe in me, if you really know what this country is in at this material time, you will be taking that. And talking about Obasanjo, his part, we want a leader in this country that can come at this material time, that when we say change, we don't need change from APC to PDP. We need change from insecurity, change from hunger, change from poverty, change that youth can be employed. We don't want a change where you can be giving people, sharing blood and telling us that the situation is not. When we look at it, we are not fools, we are educated. We know what we want. There must be change in Nigeria, and everybody must answer the party's father's. Thank you very much, brother.
Thank you for your contribution, Abubakar from Kaduna. We're running out of time, but I quickly want us to touch on the updates from INEC as regards saying that 38 million out of the 54,341,000 PVCs have been distributed as of January 7, 2015. MCR, if we can have the list on the screen. According to the Commission, this represents 71.3% of all the permanent voter cards that they have. But the disparity here is that the last time in 2011, we had about 73 million registered voters. INEC said there were some double registration, so to speak. It cut it down to about 70 million. But now we have 54,341,000 permanent voter cards, out of which INEC claims it has distributed 38 million. That's 71% of the 54 million. What happens to the remaining registered voters? What happens to those who just clocked 18 years in 2015? What happens to the many complaints that are being received as regards people not having access to the PVCs?
Well, several things will have affected people because of poverty may have escaped abroad with their cards. Some people will also have died. Then the area being controlled by the Boko Haramists, it's not going to be easy to tamper with the life of conductors of this voting exercise. So it's of this voters card exercise. I mean, you can't push your children to go and start work for INEC at a place like Buhari or whatever they call it, Muri and also. So all these things will have affected the figures at the end of the day.
Okay.
For instance, as I'm talking to you now, I've not been able to receive my own. And what we were told on my street at Ikeja, which is supposed to be the bedrock of the Southwest, was that the computer crashed, so we should come and start all over again. And I didn't have the time. So it's not impossible that some of us who refuse to go in anger, that why is it that only in our own area that this thing will crash after we spend days queuing down in the rain and in the sun.
Okay.
And then the agency did not find it conducive and respectful to have sent information ahead before they started distributing the rest of that the one on this street, the one in this area, the one in that area. I mean, up to now, nobody is giving information that in Mubi and all other places that there was no distribution of PVC there. So I want to believe that some people who have migrated out of the country, people who are in prison, some that may have died, the new children that are born, I'm not sure they are too keen. Those who just cross the border of 18. If you see the figure, you go and compare the figure with what we have with Nigerian Population Commission, you realize that it will be a little bit low because they are disenchanted. They are finding it difficult to respect the leading generations. They don't see what they are doing as important.
And that has affected their political activity.
Interest. It has affected their interest. It has caused us setbacks. If every day a student at the university is only hearing about insurgency, it's very difficult to even translate whatever he's doing into a concrete thing in the society.
You know, amazingly, in 2011, about 73 million people registered, but just around 38 million actually participated in the election. With this decline now, though we are still hopeful that the figure will increase with time, do you see a reduction from what we saw in 2011?
If there is not going to be a different thing, because one, on election day, it is always clouded with violence. So many people will have won their children. Don't bother to go out. They are shooting there. So at the end of the day, that decreases and causes deficit in the numbers. So it's not going to be, it will grow beyond the 38 million actually. It will go towards about 35, 40.
Let's take this call. Hello, good morning.
Hello, good morning.
Welcome to Call Digest.
Amusa from Agbado.
Amusa from Agbado.
Evangelist Amusa, yes.
Okay, Evangelist Amusa. Agbado is in Lagos, I guess, right?
Ogun State.
Agbado Station, yes.
In Ogun State.
Yes.
All right, go ahead with your contribution, Evangelist.
First, the issue of voters' card. It took us about 3 to 4 days before I was able to get mine, and I have not got the original up to now. And a lot of other people. It's all promises upon promises. If we can at this time, what will become of the election day? I like, to my own mind, that from the point of view of a lot of people, they are not ready for this election. They are not ready. And from the spiritual point of view, Obasanjo is, as the Lord showed me, he has tried. He has tried for this nation. What the builders are now building on what he has built on his foundation is not the best one. Everybody should check himself. I'm not a politics. But I can, well, every human being has his own opinion. What even the Lord showed me about the present president, because we have now ability to talk to him, and well, it all depends. If he's choosing to, he is now choosing to go to the president. Well, I pray that people will follow him. What Obasanjo have done in terms of credibility, he has no rival. I'm very sure of that. I pray Nigeria will be together in 2015. We are all praying. We are all praying, really praying. Muslims are praying, the Christians are praying. But this country is divided on political, on ethnic, on tribal, and religious basis. You can't beat that one. You cannot change it. It's not possible. God bless Nigeria.
Thank you very much, Evangelist, for your contribution. Good to hear from you. Let's quickly touch on the zonal distribution of all of these PVCs collected. Northwest has about 12.1 million, I believe, followed by Southwest 6.2 million, and North Central 5.5 million, Northeast 4.8 million, Southeast 3.9 million. FCT has less than 500,000. Northwest with 12 million PVCs. Do you see any political calculation already from these disparities in figures along the zonal lines?
Well, definitely. Politics is a game of number. So the figures has been enumerated as the northeast where there was insurgency, they had 12 million PVC.
No, Northwest has 12 million. Northeast, of course, has Northeast has just 3.9 million.
Okay.
My interest is that the highest number of PVCs collected already centers around Northwest and Southwest. You want to consider the parties in charge there?
That is the level of mobilization put in place by the parties and by INEC in those areas. 2, the security in Lagos is quite good. And so it is in several Southwest states. The same thing in Northwest, where we have Kano, Katsina, and also. So where there is peace, people are likely to come up. Where there is proper mobilization and enlightenment, people are likely to be heard. Southeast is a very small place, so it is also peaceful. Okay. So I see that they wouldn't have had more than that.
Amazingly, too.
Most of them are in Lagos. Okay. They are the most traveled. They are the most traveled citizens in this country. So some of them are even in that Northeast. Some of them are in Northwest. Some of them are in Lagos.
Okay. You know, amazingly too, statistics here shows that Bayelsa, which happens to be the home state of the president, has the lowest number of PVCs having collected as at the 7th day of January this year.
Well, you know, the better part of that place is in the creek.
Okay.
So it's going to be difficult for somebody to carry a vessel to be caught.
Just a minute. let's take this call. Hello, good morning.
Yeah. I'm Alaji Jaji. I'm calling from Lagos Island.
Okay, Alaji Jaji, good morning. You are our last caller on the show today. Go ahead with the contribution, please.
Thank you very much. I'm indeed very much grateful with the man there that represented your guest anyway.
Okay.
And to speak so directly, I must tell you that.
Your line is breaking. Can you move away from where you are, please? Hello, Alaji, your line is breaking. Can you move away from where you are?
Yeah. Okay, now what I'm saying is that I thought that students come out to grow follow to show people that they always like to be friends of government and at the same time want to be enemies. And that was why people would say that even the next president or the next of Abacha has been indicated.
Okay.
So these are not the first kind of things. Secondly, I want to talk on the corruption that has affected Nigerian government over time. It is not a new thing. It's there. Yes, I don't need to say that to punish people that do that. Can't we create an anti-diva that will take corruption in Nigeria? That's exactly what the man has been able to play. It's not when you see the money we punish you. They are go. Then it is not making it easy as possible for you to steal our money, and that is what we go for. So no matter is moving Nigeria from where it is today, I'm moving it to let us continue to do this. So I share with you, I share with you that government by creating an anti-device, not people for stealing that we all need now. It's not that only people throw people into jail for 1 year. Thank you very much.
Thank you for your contribution, Alaji Jaji. You seem to have another supporter there in Alaji Jaji calling from Lagos. But let's wrap up this show this way. I don't know where we got the news from. There were insinuations that the U.S. at one time prophesied that Nigeria was going to break up in 2015. The good news is that just yesterday, I believe they probably are taking a U-turn on that particular statement, and now they're saying that all of the challenges we're facing now are surmountable, and definitely Nigeria is going to survive. What's your take on that?
This is what I've always told people. You know, a caller said America is an advanced system, so we cannot advance. Now, each time America says something bad about this country, our leaders will rise immediately and lambast and tear it through some facts and figures. Now they have come to see it again because this kind of views is a spreading views. It's causing panic. And what people have been saying in the last 3 years that it was said, because it was said after the 2011 election. And it was coming from Department of State. Now, the same department is issuing a graduated review of their position, which is what we don't do here.
Okay.
They have reassessed the situation, and they have come to the conclusion that the little things, the challenges facing us, though may not be little in the eyes of majority of Nigerians who are in the middle of this crisis. The economic issue, the corruption issue, this is security issue, all this boil down, create fear and panic in average Nigerians. But they have come to see, because they are able to access our defense capacity, they are able to access the amount of money that has been stolen from this country. They know who is stealing, because they use the banks to monitor them. And they know what we can do as tribal men to forfeit. Because I am an optimist about this country. And why is it so? I have seen June 12 come and gone, and we didn't carry gun against ourselves. I have seen several elections rigging taking place, yet Nigerians didn't break. So I always know that at the tail end of any problem, an average Nigerian will succeed and survive.
How do you see the February 14 election? Peaceful, violence-free?
It's going to be extremely very peaceful.
Free and fair, credible, acceptable.
No, it's going to be credible, with Professor Jega in charge.
Some have also started suggesting that it's going to be a very tight election.
It will be tight.
Both parties seem to be gathering supports every day.
Oh, that is normal, because they have the money to campaign. They've made money from fundraising here and there, and people are still contributing, whether legal or illegally, to their respective positions, and they are taking it. Some will tell you something from the left and tell you something else from the right. So everything is moving forward as far as I'm concerned. You don't find in 2011, on the run-off to the election, there were a lot of thuggery. And people were killing each other just because they were doing ordinary campaigns. Yesterday, and since they all started, there has not been a very serious issue of such. So I do not see how they will. For instance, will APC want break out of law and order in their areas of strength where they will not be able to count? When it's one man, one vote now, they won't do it. They will control their people. They can only threaten. They will not do anything.
It's all right. Thank you very much for joining us today. A big thank you to all of you who have called. There were quite a number of messages we're getting as regards not picking calls, and probably we're selective in the calls we pick. And that's why we have an alternative for you to follow us on Twitter at Call Digest Live. So if we can't pick your calls, there are quite a number of calls that we probably might not pick, but you can endeavor also to send us tweets. Of course, we have some of them here. Isioma Ifinya is saying that INEC, please continue giving these cards. And as for PDP, they should just rest and do their campaigns and stop cheap talks. I believe that she must be referring to the talks as regards the certification of the APC presidential candidate. Quite a number of them here, and we promise to keep you up to date with them as soon as we come on air. A big thank you to Bola Ononuga, MD and Editor-in-Chief of Financial Standard. Thank you for joining us today on Call Digest. A big thank you to all of those who called in. We had George called in from Jos, Tuchiku called in from Anambra, of course, Malachi Jaji from Lagos, Abubakar from Kaduna, Mustafa from Lagos, Adams also called from Mina, among quite a number of dropped calls we had today. That's it. This week edition of Call Digest. Call Digest Extra comes your way at 9 o'clock tomorrow. It's a more elaborate version that also brings you the entertainment part of the discuss. I am Nifemi Oguntoye. I'll be back with you next week, God willing, on another exciting edition of Call Digest. Stick around for the top of the hour news. Don't go away.
Every day, every hour, and every minute, news break in Nigeria. Things happen so fast, it's most times difficult to track and comprehend them. But that's what we do right here on Digit 360. 2015, would you want to come back again?
It's like asking Jesus Christ if he knew he was going to die, will you want to come back as the savior of the world again?
We do not just help you track the stories, we break them down, explore all the angles, analyze the issues so that you can fully comprehend the stories and use them to make the right decisions.